Dog food prices have climbed more than 20% since 2022, and in some cities, owners are now paying close to $100 for a single 25-pound bag. One grocery chain looked at that trend and did the opposite. It kept dog food prices flat while building a private label pet aisle most owners have never actually looked at. If you've never checked what's sitting on Aldi's pet shelf, you're one of millions of dog owners quietly overpaying. Let's get into it. Number 9. The German machine your dog's food is hiding inside. Most dog owners think of Aldi as a produce and pantry store. They have no idea it's sitting on one of the most efficient dog food operations in the country, and almost nobody walks down that aisle to check. Here's why that matters. Aldi runs on a stripped-down model. No loyalty cards, no weekly coupon inserts, no wall of competing brands fighting for shelf space, no army of staff restocking every hour. A typical Walmart carries over 30,000 products. Aldi carries roughly 1,400. That number isn't a limitation, it's the entire strategy. Fewer products means smaller stores, leaner staffing, and lower overhead on every single item, including the ones in the pet aisle. And here's the part that changes how you should be feeding your dog. Aldi's dog food isn't a national brand quietly repackaged. It's their own private label called Heart to Tail, made through co-packing arrangements with manufacturers who also produce food for bigger, better-known brands. No brand licensing fee, no celebrity ad campaign built into the price, no distributor markup stacked on top. Aldi controls that supply chain from formulation to shelf, the same way it does with its grocery products, and every dollar it doesn't spend on marketing a dog food brand is a dollar that stays out of your grocery bill instead of padding someone else's ad budget. A standard 18.5-pound bag of Heart to Tail Complete Nutrition dry food sells for under $15. Do the math on that per pound, and it's not a small gap compared to what you're paying at a specialty pet store. Some independent pricing comparisons have even placed it 15 to 20% below Costco's Kirkland Signature dog food, which has long been considered the benchmark for affordable, high-quality store-brand pet nutrition. That's not Aldi cutting corners. It's the same no-frills machine that makes their cereal and canned vegetables cheap, quietly doing the exact same thing to a bag of kibble. And this is the part almost nobody thinks about. The reason your dog's food costs what it costs has very little to do with what's inside the bag, and a lot to do with everything stacked on top of it before it ever reaches the shelf: the brand's ad budget, the distributor's cut, the retailer's markup on markup. Strip that away and you're left with what Aldi is selling. Keep that in mind because it's the same principle that shows up again in a much bigger way a few numbers from now. Number 8. The expansion most dog owners haven't noticed yet. Aldi isn't just growing, it's opening faster than at any point in its 50-year American history, and every new location means another affordable pet aisle landing in a neighborhood that didn't have one. 180 new stores are opening in 2026 alone, including Aldi's first entry into Colorado. By the end of the year, the company will operate nearly 2,800 stores across 39 states. And the biggest shift is happening quietly in the Southeast, where Aldi acquired roughly 400 former Winn-Dixie and Harvey supermarket locations. 80 of those are being converted this year, with 200 expected to be fully converted by 2027. If your local Winn-Dixie closed recently or started looking different inside, there's a real chance a full Aldi pet aisle included is opening in that exact building, in the exact same parking lot you already know how to get to. And that matters beyond the people who actually shop there. Economists have tracked what happens when Aldi moves into a new community. Nearby grocery stores tend to lower prices within a few months just to stay competitive. Researchers call it the Aldi effect, and it's not limited to milk and eggs. That competitive pressure ripples into pet aisles too. More Aldi locations in a region means more downward pressure on what every nearby store charges for dog food, whether you personally ever push a cart through an Aldi checkout or not. Your neighborhood grocery store doesn't need you to switch loyalties for you to benefit. It just needs an Aldi to exist 10 minutes away. Think about what that means over the next 18 months. 180 new stores this year, up to 200 converted Winn-Dixie locations by 2027. Each one carrying that same 1,400 product private label model into a building that used to sell a completely different set of dog food brands at a completely different set of prices. That's not a coincidence you can shop around. That's a wave of pricing pressure heading toward your dog's food bowl, whether you notice it or not. Number 7. The tariff shield protecting your dog's food bowl. This is the one that should actually change how you shop this year. Pet food inflation, what the industry now calls petflation, climbed to 4.3% year over year as of early 2026, the sharpest pet-specific inflation spike in years. Tariffs on imported packaging, ingredients, and pet supplies have added what analysts are calling a permanent 10 to 20% access fee that gets passed straight down to pet owners. Dog food prices specifically have risen faster than cat food in some categories, and industry pricing data shows dry and canned dog food both moving upward through 2025 and into 2026. That CBS report of owners paying close to $100 for a 25-pound bag at specialty pet retailers isn't an outlier anymore. It's becoming the new normal at national brand prices. Aldi's position is different, and it's the exact same reason grocery prices held steady while Walmart and Kroger raised theirs: the private label model. Because Aldi owns the relationship with its co-packers instead of licensing a national brand name, it can lock in longer supplier contracts and absorb cost pressure that gets passed straight through everywhere else. Industry analysts tracking this shift have said the same thing directly. Sustained pet food inflation is pushing more consumers toward private label pet food, and store brands are the segment best positioned to absorb tariff pressure instead of passing it on. Aldi's Heart to Tail line sits right in that sweet spot. That's why the price gap between what you're paying at a national pet retailer and what you'd pay for Heart to Tail right now is wider than it's been in years. This isn't a temporary sale. It's a structural advantage that gets bigger every time tariffs squeeze a national brand's supply chain, and it's part of a much bigger shift analysts are already flagging. As pet food inflation keeps stacking year over year, more households are expected to move towards store brand pet food out of necessity, not preference. Aldi built its entire business model around exactly that kind of shift years before petflation was a word anyone used. Picture the two paths side by side. One path is the national brand aisle at a specialty pet retailer, where the sticker keeps climbing every few months and the bag size sometimes quietly shrinks along with it. The other path is a private label bag that was never inflated by a marketing budget in the first place, sitting inside a store that's also expanding into 39 states this year. One of those paths has room to keep raising your bill. The other one doesn't have nearly as much fat left to cut. Number 6. The app nobody's using for their dog's food. In 2026, Aldi quietly rebuilt its entire app in partnership with Instacart, and almost nobody talks about what it actually does for you. The app shows you every current price drop before you leave the house, permanent price reductions on hundreds of items that are separate from the weekly flyer. Check it before a shopping trip and you can see if Heart to Tail, Pure Being canned food, or any pet product is sitting on a current markdown. Second, the app previews Aldi finds, the limited quantity rotating items that change every Wednesday. Every so often, those finds include pet products, toys, treats, seasonal pet accessories, and if you're not checking Wednesday morning, they sell out before you ever see them on the shelf. Download it before your next trip. Build your pet aisle list around whatever's already discounted instead of guessing. Number 5, what actually gets marked down and what doesn't. Here's where I have to be straight with you, because this is the part most Aldi hack videos get wrong when they try to apply grocery rules to pet food. Aldi's bakery and meat markdown system, 50% off bread 2 days before expiration, red sticker discounts on meat and produce, is built around perishables. Dry dog food and shelf-stable canned food don't work that way. There's no ticking expiration clock creating a daily discount cycle the way there is with a loaf of bread. If a video tells you to hunt for a 2 days before expiry sticker on a bag of kibble, that's not how this actually works, and I'm not going to tell you it is. What does apply is damaged packaging, a torn kibble bag, a dented can of Pure Being, a crushed corner on a treat box. The food inside is unaffected, and many Aldi locations will knock an additional 10 to 20% off if you bring it to the register and ask. There's no sign advertising it. You have to ask. That's a real discount that works on pet products exactly the way it works on pantry items. It just isn't running on a weekly clock the way the bakery aisle is. Number 4. The return policy that sounds fake until you use it. This is the one that changes how you try new food for your dog, and it's the same guarantee Aldi built its grocery reputation on. It's called the twice as nice guarantee. Buy any Aldi brand food product, and that includes Heart to Tail and Pure Being. And if you're not satisfied for any reason, Aldi refunds your full purchase price and gives you a free replacement of the same item. Not a refund instead of a replacement. Both. That means if you're nervous about switching your dog off an expensive national brand, the financial risk of trying Heart to Tail is close to zero. If your dog takes to it, you've just permanently cut your food bill by a wide margin. If your dog's stomach doesn't agree with it, and any vet will tell you food transitions should be gradual and monitored anyway, you bring back the receipt and the remaining product, and you walk out with your money back and another bag, no argument required. Aldi can afford this because the guarantee only gets used by a small percentage of shoppers. It's not a loophole. It's a company betting that the product holds up and using the guarantee itself as the cheapest form of trust building it has. Picture the actual moment this plays out. You've been buying a $60 bag of a national brand for years out of pure habit, never even glancing at the pet aisle at Aldi. You finally grab a bag of Heart to Tail instead, half expecting your dog to turn her nose up at it the way she has with every other cheaper food you've tried. 2 weeks in, she's finishing every bowl, and you've just found out the version costing a third of the price was sitting there the entire time. That's the moment this whole list is really about. Not the discount itself, but the fact that trying it cost you nothing to find out. Number 3, the redesign changing where the pet aisle sits. In April 2026, Aldi opened a fully redesigned store format in Aventura, Florida. 14 years in development, and the new template for every store built going forward. The old layout was built purely for speed. Grab boxes off the pallet, get out. The new layout keeps the same prices but restructures the flow to feel less chaotic while still routing you past specific aisles. That includes how pet products get positioned. If your local store gets remodeled over the next year or two, expect the pet aisle to be easier to navigate, but also expect impulse items, toys, treats, seasonal accessories placed exactly where they'll catch your eye on the way to something else. If it's not already on your list, that's the layout doing its job. Walk in with a plan. Number 2, the cashback trick that works on every dog food receipt. Aldi has no rewards card and no loyalty points, and that's part of how it keeps prices down. But that also means Aldi shoppers get zero cash back on a purchase, while shoppers at stores with loyalty programs earn something on every trip. There's a workaround, and it costs you nothing. Apps like Fetch, Ibotta, and Receipt Hog scan any grocery receipt, Aldi included, and pay out points or cash back regardless of what store it's from. Snap a photo of your dog food receipt before you leave the parking lot, and the points or cash accumulate automatically. None of these are Aldi programs. They just don't care where the receipt came from. Stack that 2 to 4% back on top of a bag of Heart to Tail that's already priced well below the national brands, and you're compounding a discount on a discount. Number 1, running the full stack on your dog's next bag of food. Everything on this list works on its own. It compounds when you run it together. Check the app before you leave the house. See if Heart to Tail or Pure Being has a current price drop, and check whether this week's Aldi finds include anything for your dog. Head in with a plan instead of wandering the aisle. If you spot a damaged bag or a dented can, bring it to the register and ask for the extra discount. It costs you nothing to ask. If you've been wanting to switch your dog off an expensive national brand, do it now, because the twice as nice guarantee means you're not risking the money if it doesn't work out. Buy it, pay, and before you start the car, scan the receipt into Fetch or Ibotta. Run that on one bag of dog food, and you've stacked a private label price advantage, a tariff-resistant supply chain, a zero-risk return policy, and a small cashback bonus on top of a bag that was already priced to undercut the national brands before you walked in. Do that every month instead of buying from a specialty pet retailer paying close to $100 a bag, and the number adds up fast over a year. for the price of checking an aisle you've probably walked past 100 times without looking. Every other pet food price hike gets passed straight to you. This is the one store quietly built to absorb it instead, and it's been sitting on shelves you've probably walked past without a second look every single week. Here's the thing worth sitting with. None of the individual moves on this list feel dramatic on their own. Checking an app before you leave the house, asking a cashier about a dented can, reading the fine print on a return policy, snapping a photo of a receipt you'd normally throw in the glove box. Nobody builds their whole identity around any single one of those habits, but run all 5 on the same trip every month for a year on a category where prices are climbing faster than almost anywhere else in your grocery budget, and you're not looking at a rounding error anymore. You're looking at real money that used to belong to a national brand's marketing department sitting back in your account instead. That's really what this whole list comes down to. Every other player in the pet food industry is betting that you'll keep paying whatever the sticker says because switching feels like too much effort, or because you assume cheap automatically means worse. Aldi is betting on the opposite, that once you actually check, you won't go back. And in a year where petflation is outpacing almost every other line item in a typical household budget, that's a bet worth taking seriously for anyone with a dog waiting by an empty bowl. So next time you're at Aldi picking up your own groceries, don't just walk past the pet aisle on the way to the checkout. Stop, read a bag, check the price per pound, ask about the guarantee. You might find out the food you've been overpaying for elsewhere has a cheaper, better positioned version sitting 10 feet away the entire time. Drop a comment with what your dog is eating right now and whether you've ever actually checked Aldi's pet aisle. And if you know a dog owner still paying national brand prices without realizing there's a cheaper private label option 10 minutes away, send them this video.